Thank you all for coming out today on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Thanks for making time to visit the bus tour. We have been crisscrossing Nebraska for the last day and a half. And we're very excited to be with you today here in Lincoln. So thanks for making time in your busy schedule. My name is Kana Gonzalez. I work for the Family Research Council, and today I will be speaking on behalf of two organizations, FRC and the Heritage Foundation, both of whom are co-sponsoring the National Values Bus Tour. And again, I want to welcome you on behalf of both of those organizations, as well as a number of other folks who've helped make our tour in Nebraska possible. The Heritage Foundation, as you can see behind me, is sponsoring the tour. They are the nation's most broadly supported public policy research institute with over 700,000 individual members. They were founded in 1973 and developed public policy solutions in Washington that advance free enterprise, limited government, individual freedom, traditional values, and a strong national defense. I want to introduce my friend and colleague from the Heritage Foundation. John Schuler is here today. He'll be at the white table after these brief remarks to answer any questions you have, and also share with you some of Heritage's vision for saving the American dream. The Family Research Council advances faith, family, and freedom in public policy and public opinion. We work everywhere from Capitol Hill down to the grassroots. I am the Director of State and Local Affairs and have the privilege and honor of working with our 40-odd state of groups that work with us in 40-odd states. I work with Family First and Dave Beidelek here in Nebraska, and he's in Lincoln regularly. He's at the State House all the time, and I commend him to you heartily. He's a great man doing great work. I'm here with my colleague, Chris Bosch, also representing FRC. I want to briefly introduce several other guests who will be speaking briefly later today. John Valleco, where are you, John? There you are, John. John Valleco, and many of you know Gun Owners of America. They have been working on behalf of gun rights since 1975, and John's a good friend, and we are proud to welcome them to the tour. Colleen Holmes, say hi, Colleen, is the Executive Director of Eagle Forum in Washington, D.C. They've been working since 1983, and it is a real privilege, Colleen, to be partnering with you and John as well here on this leg of the tour. I also want to recognize your State Treasurer, Don Stenberg. Thank you, Don, for being here. I want to explain why these organizations are coming together on this bus tour, why it matters, and what you can do. We're on this tour because the organizations represented here today realize that America is at a tipping point, and we agree that the fiscal crisis and the moral crisis that we face as a nation are indivisible. We understand that you cannot separate moral and fiscal issues. The fiscal crisis is a crisis of character, and the basis for a strong economy is strong families. All of the organizations here today agree that America is at a tipping point and that our basic institutions are under attack. Let me give you some brief examples. Our military is being threatened with irresponsible spending cuts and at the same time being converted into a massive social experiment. Our families are being undermined on every side, from policies that I kid you not, regulate what kinds of work kids can do on family farms, to a president whose views on whether marriage should involve a man and a woman or something else are quote-unquote evolving. Our economy is being systematically dismantled and rebuilt from the ground up on the failed socialist policies of central government planning and a guarantee of equal outcomes instead of the American ideal of equality of opportunity. And our religious liberties are under attack as never before as the administration inserts itself into the life of our churches and our religious communities, insisting that religious institutions that serve the public must violate their consciences and cover abortion-inducing drugs and contraceptives in their insurance policies. I could go on, but I have abbreviated this speech on purpose because I believe most of the folks here already understand the stakes and want to know what they can do about it. Here's what you can do. Get involved. If you're not registered to vote, you do not have a voice. Get a voice. get registered. We would love to register you to vote today. Please come up to the table, the blue table, and we will talk to you about how to get registered to vote. Assuming that you are registered to vote, and I hope all of you are, I want to tell you how to multiply your vote legally. Become a values champion. At the ivotevalues.org table, we can sign you up to become a values champion, and what that means is you will leave today with a toolkit. In this toolkit, you have instructions and very simple talking points. These are not Washington, D.C. wonk policy talking points. This is how to talk to friends and family about the values that you and I both hold and why it's important to get engaged in this election. For a variety of reasons, it seems that people more and more are apathetic and not getting involved in the process until the very end, and they might show up to vote. Folks, some folks estimate that conservative Christian voters, what we term values voters, only half of them are registered, and that in 2008, roughly half of those who were registered voted. So that's a quarter of eligible values voters voting. That can't be. We need to bring those folks into the process. We've identified key swing states, 21 key swing states, where those voters could make a difference. In North Carolina in 2008, the election was decided by less than 85 votes per precinct. In Missouri, the last presidential election was decided by just over 2,000 votes. 2,000 votes. We estimate that there are something like 100,000 unregistered values voters in the state of Missouri. That's a state where you can make a huge difference. And what we do when you sign up is give you a website and access to the names and phone numbers and email addresses of likely conservative voters who are not registered to vote, so that you can reach out to them. Folks, if I talk to them on the phone, or Tony Perkins sends them an email, or the Heritage Foundation tries to call them, that's one thing coming from Washington. But when you and you and you, as a concerned citizen, reach out to folks individually on your own and say, hey, it's important to get involved in the process and defend the values that we all hold dear, it means so much more. It is so much more effective. We have the tools. We can help you do that. I would love to explain more to you after this. The second thing that you can do after getting involved is get informed. And here is where the Heritage Table can really shine for you, because they have a detailed plan that they called Saving the American Dream, which will fix the debt, cut spending, and restore prosperity. They have more information at their table, but if their plan was followed in Washington, it would cut the size of the federal government in half, and it would balance the budget. These are bold plans. These are valid plans. Please visit their table to find out more. And please do come by the Family Research Council table. I'd love to talk to you about how we're strengthening families, protecting life, and defending religious liberty. The third and final thing you can do after getting involved and getting informed is hold your elected leaders accountable. Folks, people say one thing here in the state, and then they go to Washington and they do and say other things. That's why organizations like mine are in DC, so we can communicate right back to you what's actually going on, what people are saying, how they're voting, how they're acting. So you can sign up at both tables, as well as with the various organizations that are here, from whom you'll be hearing in just a moment. And we'd love to be sending you emails about what's going on these issues. So I encourage you to come by, sign up for information from the Guns for America Eagle Forum, as well as the Heritage Foundation and Family Research Council. Thank you very much. I am going to now turn this over to John. John, do you want to come? And please welcome John Valleco from Gun Owners of America with me. Stay away from the anthem. You can pull Colleen.
Okay. Good afternoon. It's great to be here. I'm John Valleco with Gun Owners of America. We're a national grassroots lobbying organization with about 350,000 members. We work in Washington to protect and defend the Second Amendment, which is under constant attack in Washington on several fronts. One is in the Supreme Court, at the court level. In 2008, the Supreme Court ruled in a 5-4 decision that the Second Amendment protects an individual right to keep and bear arms. Now, that was a good decision, but it was also a little bit scary because it was 5-4. And we know that the next president is going to be able to nominate 1, 2, possibly 3 Supreme Court nominees. The next president is going to be able to shape gun control policy through the court system, not only in this generation, but in the generation to come. So that's something we're very concerned about, something that we have to hold people accountable to at the judicial level through our legislators. We're concerned about Eric Holder, our U.S. Attorney General, who has not taken any responsibility for the Fast and Furious program, which has allowed thousands of firearms to flow into Mexico, into the hands of some of the most violent criminals in the Western Hemisphere. And then the same Attorney General has the audacity to look at the violence in Mexico and blame U.S. gun laws for that violence and claim that we need more gun control here to help them out in Mexico. All the while, he has lied to Congress about his role in Fast and Furious. We need accountability with our administration through our legislative elected officials. You know, the Founding Fathers put the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights as an insurance policy for freedom. And the insurance policy for the Second Amendment is our vote. And we need to use that vote. And I know you all have one vote each. We all have only one vote. But there are 80 to 100 million gun owners in this country. And if every one of them are registered to vote and go out and vote, that is one heck of an insurance policy for freedom. Yes, being vigilant will cost you something, but it's the price of liberty. So I just want to thank you all for coming out here, for taking some time out of your day. I know that time is valuable and we really appreciate it. And I just encourage you all, if you're not registered to vote, which you probably are, but get your buddies registered, get your friends registered, make sure your families are registered. I just had a child turn 18, make sure she's registered. And let's all get registered to vote, and then we have the insurance policy to protect the Constitution, protect the Second Amendment. So thank you all for coming. And I now want to introduce to you Colleen Holmes with Eagle Forum.
Thank you, John. Well, thank you everybody for coming out today, and I want to get through this quickly, but my name is Colleen Holmes. I'm with Eagle Forum. It's the pro-family organization that was founded in 1972 by Phyllis Schlafly. We encourage you to visit our website at www.eagleforum.org. It's a great way to stay informed. As everybody has mentioned, that's one of the key ingredients that a grassroots activist really needs, is to be able to stay informed. And one of the if you go to our website right now, you'll read Phyllis Schlafly's most recent column. It's entitled "Obama is a Big-Time Lawbreaker." And one of the areas of focus that she mentions, as John mentioned, is right now our current Attorney General is presiding over possibly the most corrupt Justice Department in history. And everything from refusing to enforce the Defense of Marriage Act to refusing to enforce U.S. immigration laws, and instead suing states that are taking it upon themselves to enforce the immigration laws and keep their people safe and control our borders. So I encourage you to check that out. One of the other things that we're incredibly concerned about, and that you can stay informed about if you visit eagleforum.org, are judicial nominees. As John mentioned, the potential for U.S. Supreme Court justice nominations in the next presidential cycle will be incredibly consequential. But even before that, we have district court judges, several circuit court judges, and all kinds of nominees. So we'd like to help you keep your elected officials accountable. We also have mechanisms where you can sign up for email alerts. We're on Capitol Hill, so we watch all the bills that go through Congress, and we don't spam you, but we try to issue alerts when there are bills coming before Congress that are of consequence to pro-family voters. So we encourage you to check that out. We can send you alerts and enable you to send your member of Congress and your senator a quick email. And one other thing, just quickly as we close, I just wanted to let you know we're seeing a lot of scary things coming out of Washington, D.C. these days. But the most encouraging thing that we've seen is the grassroots staying involved and staying connected, because it's only when the grassroots are informed and letting their members of Congress know that they are watching, they do care how they vote, that things can change. So I'd like to encourage you to stay involved, get registered to vote. And Kenneth, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Colleen, and thank you, John. We are, again, just thrilled to be partnering with Eagle Foreman Gun Owners of America for this leg of the trip, and hope that we can continue this partnership going forward. It's worked really well. Folks, I want to introduce the man that you probably, many of you came out to hear from today, your State Treasurer, Don Stenberg. Please join me in welcoming Don Stenberg.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming out today and be part of the democratic process that is part of what makes our country great. I think we all know here today that our country is going in the wrong direction. Some say the solution is more government and higher taxes. My friends, as Ronald Reagan said, government is not the solution to our problems, government is the problem. And more specifically today, it is the federal government that is our problem. It is a government of nationalized health care. It's a government of oppressive new regulations. It's a government of trillion-dollar deficits. It's a government of class warfare. It's a government that funds abortions and tramples on religious liberty. It's a government that blocks our domestic energy development, and a government that refuses to secure our borders. It is a government that has failed America. But in 2012, we can change that government. In fact, I believe that 2012 will be a great year for freedom and for the future of our country. We need a new direction. We need to restore America. Restoring America must begin with defending our freedom. Our founding fathers understood that big government threatens our freedom. The source of our freedom is not a benevolent government. No, our freedom is not a gift of our government. As Thomas Jefferson said, the God who gave us life gave us liberty at the same time. The Declaration of Independence tells us that the source of our freedom is from our Creator. The Declaration of Independence says this: we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Today, these God-given rights are under assault. In this time and in this place, it is for us to come to the defense of these fundamental rights. Is it a duty imposed on us by our forefathers? It's a responsibility that we have to our children, so that they may know and enjoy the same blessings of liberty that we have known and enjoyed. In 2000, I was proud to stand before the Supreme Court of the United States and defend Nebraska's ban on partial birth abortions. Two years ago, I was deeply disappointed when Congress voted to allow our tax dollars to be used to pay for abortions. I believe that it's morally wrong to have our tax money used for abortions. More recently, we have witnessed President Barack Obama's war on religion. He took federal funding away from religious organizations that have fought against the sexual trafficking of women because those organizations oppose abortion on religious grounds. Even more recently, the Obama war on religion attacked the rights of conscience protected by the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States by requiring Catholic hospitals and universities to provide insurance coverage for birth control, sterilization, and some abortion drugs. We must put an end to this war on religion. Over 53 million children have been killed by abortionists since Roe v. Wade was decided. But I firmly believe that this carnage will not continue forever. I firmly believe that a just God will not forever allow His innocent children to be slaughtered. And I look forward to the day when the Supreme Court of the United States will say that our Constitution, which was written to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, does not authorize the killing of the very posterity it was written to protect. Until recent days, marriage in the United States of America and throughout Western civilization has been understood to be the union of a man and a woman. The nuclear family has been the building block of civilization throughout history. It is the institution for the care and socialization of the children of each succeeding generation. There are those today who wish to dramatically revise the institution of marriage. These efforts should be opposed. We need an amendment to the Constitution of the United States that will define marriage as the union of one man and one woman for all purposes of federal and state law. If we value our health care, we need to repeal Obamacare. In order to secure the future for our children, we must cut federal spending and add a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution of the United States. And we must develop our domestic energy resources. We cannot continue to allow the radical environmentalists to dictate the energy policy of the United States of America. We must secure our borders because our national security requires it. And finally, we must stand firm in defense of the Second Amendment, life and religious freedom. And what do we need to do to restore America's greatness? I believe that it begins with faith. The Bible tells us what is needed to restore a nation. It's written in 2 Chronicles that if my people, who are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. So restoring our nation must begin with earnest prayer. So when you go home tonight, I would encourage you to pray for the future of our nation. Pray that God will indeed heal our land. But it's not enough to pray. Every story in the Bible except creation involved men and women inspired by God who did what they were called upon to do. So what else in addition to prayer do we need to do to restore America? Number one, and very importantly, go and vote. Choose your elected representatives. And as was mentioned earlier, some people will tell me, well, I only have one vote. It can't make that much difference. But that's all that any of us have. Back in 1990, in the Democratic primary for governor, that race was decided by less than 50 votes statewide. And Ben Nelson went on to serve 2 terms as governor, 2 terms in the U.S. Senate, and cast the deciding vote for Obamacare. So that is how important a handful of votes were 20 years ago. In my own experience, when I first won my Republican primary for Attorney General in 1990, I won that election by less than 1 vote per precinct. So your vote does count. In addition to your vote, I would encourage you to get your friends and neighbors to vote and take the opportunity that we have here in the United States to be part of our government decision-making process. And finally, and very importantly, help those candidates who are courageous and who share your values, your hopes, and your dreams for America's future. If we believe in freedom, and if we believe in America, and I know that you all do, then let us go forward boldly, with courage, asking for God's help, loving freedom, remembering those who gave their lives for our freedom, loving our country, and changing our government, so that our posterity will say of us that when the challenge came, we had the courage to defend our freedom and restore our nation. May God bless you and be with each of us as we work together to change America. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Don. I want to pick up on something that Don said that's very important. It is important to pray, but it is important to act. We're here today to equip you with the tools that you would need to act effectively, We would love to talk to you. We are off in a few minutes to Hastings, to our next stop. If you have any friends in Hastings that you want to tell we're coming, that'd be great. But we'd like to talk to you, so come on up to the table. Please don't be shy. Again, I want to thank John from Gun Owners of America and Colleen from Eagle Forum for being with us here today, as well as Don Stenberg. Please do come up. We'd love to talk to you for the next few minutes before we pull out. Thanks very much for listening. God bless you all.